So we got some good news. The SEC has not objected to the VERI community's amicus brief, so the judge is allowing it and has approved the pro hac vice, which means for this occasion, which allows a lawyer to practice in a jurisdiction they are not licensed in. And this is the lawyer that the VeriDAO or the VERI community has hired to submit the amicus brief. And the amicus brief allows additional evidence to be presented to the judge as a friend of the court, allowing the judge to make an educated decision based on additional facts not previously presented by Reggie's lawyer. Because Jason Siebert, Reggie's lawyer, is focusing, just really focusing narrowly on basically Jorge Tenreiro admitting that the Kraken account was in fact a business account and not a personal account that they basically said Reggie was dissipating assets through. So the amicus brief is going to allow the community to basically present additional evidence. I'm going to just run through the amicus brief, or a summary of, just so people understand what's going on here. So the amicus brief by the VeriDAO supports Reggie Middleton's motion to vacate, which is alleging fraud upon the court by the SEC. And vacating this judgment could directly affect the VERI Token holders and VeriDAO members by potentially restoring value or utility to the VERI Tokens. And it could also allow Reggie to re-release the Veritaseum platform, which again lends to the utility of the VERI Token, because as we know, the VERI Token was essentially a license key that allowed access to the Veritaseum platform and products and services of Veritaseum. So the amicus brief is supported by a couple documents. Exhibit B is a declaration of Michael Biethman, a member of the VeriDAO, which is an unincorporated, decentralized, autonomous organization of VERI token holders. And in his declaration, it describes the severe consequences of the SEC's actions on token holders. So reviewing the summary here, we have the asset freeze impact. And again, this is from Michael's declaration, which supports the amicus brief. So on August 12, 2019, the SEC obtained an ex-parte temporary restraining order, or a TRO, that froze all of Veritasium's assets, shutting down the Veritasium platforms, and rendered the VERI tokens useless. And as holders, they could no longer redeem, rent, or transact with them, stripping the utility of the VERI token. The settlement effects: the SEC's settlement with Veritasium confiscated approximately 98 million VERI tokens and permanently enjoined the defendants from supporting the platform, which is basically Reggie, without determining whether the tokens were securities. This led to an immediate collapse in the token value and ecosystem's viability, leaving token holders without legal clarity or support. A no action letter was submitted sought after by the VeriDAO with the help of attorney Jeremy Hogan on behalf of the LGC Financial Trust, and the SEC denied the request, offered no written decision, and labeled the tokens fraudulent and prohibited the sale of and/or their transfers. Reputational and financial harm: the SEC's actions and fraudulent label caused reputational damage and business losses for token holders, including Biethman, who lost collaborations with agribusiness firms due to legal uncertainty. And the VeriDAO's role, initially incorporated as a VeriDAO LLC in Wyoming, it was dissolved and now operates as an unincorporated association to represent injured token holders. VeriDAO seeks to participate in the court's consideration of the defendant's motion to vacate the judgment, citing direct impact from the SEC's alleged fraudulent misrepresentations. VeriDAO's amicus brief supports the defendant's motion to vacate the judgment under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure FRCP 60D3 for fraud upon the court. Alleged SEC fraud. So the brief argues that the SEC obtained the TRO, or the temporary restraining order, and asset freeze using fabricated evidence, specifically misrepresentations about financial transfers, again back to the Kraken account, harming the defendant and token holders and the judicial process. So the amicus brief basically touches on case law. So it goes back and looks at precedents previously set by a few different cases, one of which is the Pumphrey versus K.W. Thompson Tool Co. The court vacated a judgment due to fraud when the defendant's general counsel allowed an altered video to be presented, noting that the court itself was a victim of fraud, empowering it to act regardless of the opposing party's diligence. So if I read this correctly, the altered video was presented, and basically what happened here was, from my understanding, a handgun was dropped, which discharged a shot, and basically they were saying that the gun malfunctioned. They showed a video showing a gun dropping, and they did it a few times. One of the times the gun actually did malfunction and shoot, but they only showed a portion of the video where they dropped the gun and it did not fire. So yeah, they basically didn't show the whole clip of the malfunction. They only focused on, one or two drops where the gun did not fire. So moving on to the next case that set precedent, which is the United States versus Sierra Pacific Industries. And this was in the Ninth Circuit Court in 2017. And the court declined to find fraud upon the court where alleged misrepresentations did not significantly alter the facts or harm the judicial process, requiring an unconscionable scheme to influence the court. And if I understand this correctly, Sierra Pacific Industries was a logging company, and they were basically accused of starting a forest fire due to negligence, and from what it seems, they actually weren't responsible. So the third precedent that was set is Hazel Atlas Glass Co. versus Hartford Empire Co., U.S. 1944, which emphasized that fraud on the court is a wrong against the justice institutions, not just litigants, and courts need not want for litigant diligence to act. So basically they're saying that it doesn't only harm the litigants, it also harms the whole judicial process. So that's the three precedents that were referenced in the amicus brief. So the application to the case. So the VeriDAO asserts the SEC's actions aligns with Pumphrey, as officers of the court failed to correct mischaracterizations of the Kraken account, influencing the TRO decision. And unlike Sierra, the SEC's misrepresentations altered the court's understanding and violates its duty of candor. So again, this goes back to Jorge Tenrero's admission that the Kraken account, which they alleged was used to dissipate assets through a personal account, was in fact a business account admitted by Jorge Tenrero in the temporary restraining order transcript, so that it could be frozen along with the other business accounts of Veritasium. Because at that point the judge was considering only freezing business accounts and not personal accounts. So Tenrero flipped and basically called the Kraken account a business account so it could also be frozen. So the request is the VeriDAO seeks an evidentiary hearing and limited discovery to investigate whether the SEC's conduct constituted an unconscionable scheme to improperly influence the court. So they misled the judge, again, to allow the freezing of the Kraken account as a corporate account when they were alleging that it was a personal account. So Exhibit A is the declaration of Seth McCauley, who is the counsel for the VeriDAO, and he confirms procedural support for the VeriDAO's amicus brief. And in the correspondence on June 12, 2025, McCauley notified both parties of the VeriDAO's intent to file the brief, and the defendant's counsel, Jason Siebert, and the SEC's counsel, Ben Curavilla, responded on June 12th and June 17th, respectively, confirming no objections. So because the SEC did not object to the amicus brief, the judge has allowed it, and it has been presented on June 18th, as seen below in the docket. So right here, number 123, June 18th, 2024, the memorandum in support, which I believe is the amicus brief, because document number 123 is the amicus brief supported by Exhibit A and Exhibit B, or 123-1 and 123-2. So in the proposed schedule that was agreed by all parties, today, June 20th, is the day the SEC is set to respond to the motion to vacate along with the amicus brief. They will either choose to fight it or negotiate a deal with Reggie, and should they choose to fight it, then the judge has the ability to decide on whether he wants to proceed with an evidentiary hearing or basically close or dismiss the case outright right here and there based on the evidence that was presented to him. So we await today the response from the SEC, and of course the whole VERI community is wishing Reggie a whole lot of luck and pray that the SEC chooses to do the right thing and negotiate a deal with Reggie and restoring utility to the Veritaseum platform and the VERI tokens. So this is not Reggie's only shot, but it really is his best shot to get the case thrown out against him. So the VERI community and the VeriDAO members have kind of gone all in with this amicus brief to lend support to the motion to vacate. And of course, when you're dealing with lawyers, things cost money. So this is why the VeriDAO members have released the Bury the Beast initiative, where we're going to bury round, very smart metal silver round number 666, which we're calling Bury the Beast. We're going to bury it 6 feet underground, and we're taking donations to do so, and including a leaderboard where if you choose to participate in that, it's not completely voluntary. Even if you decide to donate, you can choose to show how much you've donated or not, completely up to you. But the leaderboard will allow us to give the activated NFT from round 666 to the top donor. And we're also holding an auction for specially numbered very smart metal rounds. We started off with 1984, which was just successfully auctioned off, and we're going to have a various number of other silver rounds that especially numbered silver rounds that we'll be auctioning off. But we also have 1776 that we're auctioning off for the entire month of June, ending on July 4th, which is quite fitting. So yeah, these are going to help us cover the costs of this amicus brief. Again, we're going all in on this because we think this is Reggie's best shot at getting this case thrown out and restoring utility to the VERI token. Again, we appreciate all your continued support. It really does make a difference, and without you, we really couldn't put up the fight that we are putting up right now. So today's a big day, and again, we wish Reggie a whole lot of luck.